After a long time, today we are going to cover the road to Avengers Doomsday. The reason is that the case against Jonathan Majors was recently dropped, and he is now free from all the charges that were against him. This raises expectations from Marvel Studios that they might show Kang to us again. The first reason is that the MCU has built up so much around Kang that they need to give him a final conclusion. The second reason is that the studios have never said anything regarding Kang, rather what happened with Jonathan Majors and Kang Dynasty. I believe that because of what is happening in the MCU right now, they can't show Kang as a bigger villain than Doctor Doom, but they can definitely give a good ending to what Kang has done in the multiverse. That's why it was already decided that Kang and Doctor Doom would be on screen together, even before this incident with Jonathan Majors. The MCU had already built this up because at that time there were two villains, Kang the Conqueror and Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom was supposed to appear in Avengers, Secret Wars, and now Doctor Doom is the villain for both Avengers. At that time, the story of Doctor Doom would begin right after the end of Avengers, Kang Dynasty, meaning Kang loses and Doctor Doom comes in. Now, how this storyline has been shown is that Doctor Doom is already in the Marvel multiverse. We will also discuss which new story Kang will present to us moving forward. Also, the He Who Remains character created that TVA was not made to escape from Kang, but to escape from Doctor Doom. There is a lot to cover in today's video, filled with theories, so let's start a new episode of Road to Avengers Doomsday. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and like the video as well. So the first issue is that the sacred timeline created by He Who Remains was made to stop Doctor Doom. Here we are only talking about RDJ's Doctor Doom, because we have already seen two other versions of Doctor Doom on the sacred timeline. Keeping these versions of Doctor Doom on the sacred timeline was solely within He Who Remains' control. He created Loom and TVA so that branched timelines wouldn't emerge from the main timeline, and so he wouldn't have to witness what he saw in the last multiversal war. But once again, He Who Remains is faced with everything he encountered in the previous multiversal war. Here I should also inform you all that the term multiversal war being used here actually refers to the Avengers, Secret Wars event from the previous multiverse. So He Who Remains has tried this all before, and there he dealt with Doctor Doom. You must have seen the chaos, which is why after the last multiversal war, when the He Who Remains created the sacred timeline, he did not allow RDJ's Doctor Doom to be born. So when He Who Remains made this Loom, he was not allowing branches to form, and at the same time, he was preventing Doctor Doom, Galactus, Kang, and his variants from coming into existence. But now there are variants of Kang who do not want to lose the multiverse by their own hands. Doctor Doom is also trying to save the multiverse, and Kang the Conqueror, who considers the multiverse to be his father's property, is also outside the quantum realm. All four of them are trying their best to save the multiverse, but on their own terms. Now, if we talk about that scene in Loki Season 1, where there was a machine that melted robots, He Who Remains did not want any robot to enter the TVA because if even one of Kang's androids or a Doombot entered the TVA, then Kang and Doctor Doom could easily access the TVA. In the comics, Doctor Doom's Doombots are as powerful as Doctor Doom himself. Kang's LMD, meaning Life Model Decoy, has so much power that the model takes on the exact form of the superheroes. Doctor Doom had replaced Scarlet Witch with his Doombot, and after a long time, superheroes discovered that this was a Doombot. I have a small theory about how Doctor Doom will reach the TVA. In Doomsday, Doctor Doom will appear on Earth 616, but if before that Doctor Doom's universe is destroyed, then obviously the TVA will also be present there because the universe is dying, and Doctor Doom will notice that there is some power that is currently present on this planet. The data that Doctor Doom received from the TVA and all the energy signatures will remain stored with him in hopes that he might meet them in the future. If Doctor Doom's universe is not being destroyed here, and TVA understands everything with its knowledge and tech, even then Doctor Doom will come to Earth 616. Here, he will try to find this energy signature from the TVA and scan for all kinds of energy. This is one of the things in Doctor Doom's profession because he has been shown doing this many times in animation and comics. In the comics, He reaches the source that gave Akan 10 power. For this, he travels through time recklessly. In animation, Dr. Doom first learns about the skull, and when Iron Man is losing, Dr. Doom comes to help him. Similarly, if Dr. Doom scans the recent TVA signature after coming to Earth 616, he will find out that a similar event occurred in 2012. And this event will be when Loki. When Dr. Doom was first brought to TVA, he arrived at the same event as B-15. As all this chaos unfolded, Dr. Doom would kill them all. What did Dr. Doom gain? Number 1, the TVA's gadgets. Number 2, the Tesseract. And number 3, Loki. Now this Loki would be the same version that was in the 2012 Avengers movie, which would now join Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom has TVA gadgets that he will upgrade, and the time portal of Dr. Doom in comics works just like the TVA's time portal. The only difference between the two is the color. TVA has orange, Fantastic Four has light blue, and the Conquerors had a slightly white variant. I think Dr. Doom could turn it green based on updates. After all this, if we look at Dr. Doom now, he has the 2012 version of Loki in an upgraded version on TVA. Just think about what he could do with all of this. In the TVA, robots weren't allowed, but magic was also shut down, and Remus could do that in his Citadel too. But he didn't. He allowed Loki and Sylvie to use magic so that the loom could end right there and then restart from Remus. Shutting down magic on TVA was also for Dr. Doom because we all know that the best sorcerer of the multiverse is Dr. Doom. He has made deals with devils and has manipulated Doctor Strange badly. Every time Dr. Doom faced Doctor Strange, it was Dr. Doom who won. So when Remus says he has seen many multiversal wars, he must have seen Dr. Doom pulling off all these stunts. If Remus gets the chance to create timelines where he can keep this devastation away from his timeline, he reaches the sacred timeline, and that's how the TVA timelines and all these things come to light. That's why Remus was preventing RDJ Dr. Doom from being born. The issue of controlling robots was best for TVA because TVA throws people into the void as punishment. If any Ad and Doom board reaches the void and starts talking to their source and manages to establish any form of communication, it would become quite easy to go from the void to TVA. So far, the 3 Dr. Dooms we've seen are from the sacred timeline. The appearance of Human Dars in Deadpool 11 confirms that this Dr. Doom will also be from this sacred timeline. The amazing thing is that these 3 Dr. Dooms are not depicted as comic-accurate Dr. Dooms should be because they are shown using only tags and kept very far from magic. That's why Remus. They did not remove these Dr. Dooms from the sacred timeline, and therefore now RDJ Dr. Doom will appear with his full potential and was trying to prevent this origin. I have a very strange theory regarding RDJ Dr. Doom. When RDJ Dr. Doom arrives at 616, he will see that this timeline has been badly manipulated. At the same time, RDJ will also find out about Tony Stark, how he saved this universe by giving his life. When RDJ Dr. Doom sees Tony Stark RDJ, he will clearly see that this Tony Stark looks just like him, and his life in this universe is like a real hero, like a god. People ask, meanwhile, the RDJ Dr. Doom will become a villain by the end of the Avengers Secret Wars. Not just a minor villain, but the most dangerous villain of the multiverse. After that, when Dr. Doom is searching for this Iron Man, we will see the whole picture becoming clear. And what we heard from Howard Stark's mouth about Tony, that you are one of my great creations, as far as I know, telling this after having children doesn't quite add up. There is something else at play here. And whatever has been shown about Tony Stark largely aligns with Dr. Doom. Whether we talk about the idea of creating a protective shield over the entire planet, or creating Ultron bots like Doom bots, or working with a super intelligent AI behind a mask. All of this is common between Dr. Doom and Iron Man. The only thing missing was understanding Doctor Strange's magic. But coincidentally, this opportunity arose on Titan. Otherwise, just as RDJ has worked on his suit being inspired by every superhero, if he had the chance, he would have done it with magic too. For now, the similarity between Iron Man and Doctor Doom is based on my theory that what we have seen since 2009 of RDJ Iron Man is actually RDJ Doctor Doom. Now, I'm not saying this out of thin air. Don't panic. Listen to the whole story. In Endgame, when Tony meets his father, there are two things to notice here. First, when Howard says to Jarvis that he has seen this man somewhere before. And second, it would be nice if it's a girl. Otherwise, a boy will turn out like me. Now, combining these two creates a story that goes like this. RDJ Doctor Doom arrived at the time when Tony was about to be born. There, he placed his own child's variant instead of Tony, just as Rames did for Victor Temely. Similarly, here Doctor Doom is doing it, and this exchange must have happened in the hospital, and accidentally RDJ Doctor Doom might have bumped into Howard, which is why it became a faint memory for Howard Stark at that time. He asked Jarvis if he had seen this somewhere before, and in this way, RDJ was Doctor Doom 616, which Doctor Doom will reveal to everyone now. This theory makes it clear that the glasses of Iron Man that were in our eyes for RDJ have now become Doctor Doom's. Manipulating the characters according to the fans becomes even more difficult when the characters have given 25 years of their lives. The theory I presented to you suggests that the Iron Man we saw was actually RDJ as Doctor Doom. Here, he was worshipped as a god while being the superhero Iron Man. But what happened to the real Tony Stark? If his story existed, how would the MCU show it? For that, the MCU has the door of reboot open, and they can make any new famous actor Howard's son. This would be the best timing for the MCU to introduce a new Iron Man in Phase 7. As for the Infinity Saga and Multiversal Saga, if I explain in my words, it is something like this. In the Infinity Saga, we saw RDJ's heroic journey as Iron Man, while in the Multiversal Saga, RDJ's image as Doctor Doom is presented. The same actor plays both hero and villain. If something appears to us later in the Multiversal Saga showing a character's persona that is both good and evil, this aligns with the ideology of the Beyonder, who wanted to know the difference between good and evil. He explored this in both Secret Wars comic events. We saw the same in animations like Spider-Man 94 and Avengers Assemble. In these, the Beyonder is depicted moving with this ideology. Now it's time for the cinematic universe, and for the Beyonder, this won't be repeated. Rather, he will see how far a person's good and evil can reach. So, I think something like this has been planned with RDJ. On the other hand, Loki Season 1 was merely a setup for Avengers, the Kang Dynasty and Avengers, Secret Wars, and now we can also include Doomsday in this. All of this has already been predetermined by Romus. The plans made for Who Remains regarding Doom and Kang are still set, because when Who Remains tells Loki and Sylvie that if they kill him and the multiversal war begins, he will still meet them after it's over, it's clear that this is a loop. It begins with Who Remains and ends with Who Remains. At this time, Loki, who is sitting as a battery with timelines, has seen Who Remains many times before, even to the point where he was so loud that he returned from his death. And all this was possible because the He Who Remains knew everything. Those people in the Loki Season 2 finale have shown that Loki's only option to save the multiversal loom is to make it appear that Loki has won and has broken He Who Remains out of his loom. However, I feel that He Who Remains along with Loki has now become part of this loom. He Who Remains, who is not currently in front of us, will suddenly emerge while solving the multiverse problem. Meanwhile, in Deadpool and 1, something new emerged regarding the sacred timeline where a paradox told Deadpool that only the universes of the sacred timeline are real universes, and any branch timelines being created are not included in the sacred timeline. Therefore, any anchor beings are only those of the sacred timelines. There are no anchor beings in any branch timelines. Just as a tree dies from the branches towards the roots, something similar was happening in Deadpool and 1. If Kay's plan had succeeded, there would be no hope of saving the multiverse. In the Loki Season 2 finale, we see that TVA is searching for variants of Kang while the entire Council of Kang is hidden away. He Who Remains has given Loki complete power alongside TVA, and he changed Loki's story in such a way that he gained the power of time slip and learned to stop time. He also understood TVA's technology after spending hundreds of years, which is why at this time, Loki is more of a genius than Tony Stark and Dr. Doom. This is all thanks to He Who Remains. But why is he doing this? I think when He Who Remains saw the previous multiversal war, he must have seen Loki and Dr. Doom fighting there. The Loki who is here now would have also been there at that time. He Who Remains must have understood that Loki is the only one who can help win the multiversal war, because no matter how much Kang and all his variants try to defeat Dr. Doom, they cannot do it. That's why He Who Remains chose Loki. And this isn't happening for the first time between them. He Who Remains has seen all this many times before. If He Who Remains' plan succeeds, then Loki will handle TVA while defeating Dr. Doom in the multiversal war, and He Who Remains will complete his loom and return to that same place. He Who Remains was somehow filling Loki's mind with what he ultimately needs to do. In this scene, he tells Loki that he was alone here at the end of time and was just keeping an eye on things. Loki ended up doing the same later. Their methods for holding the timeline are quite different. He Who Remains is doing it through a taco sign. Loki is doing this with his magic. In Hero, he had no treatment for Loom. There was only one remedy, which was Loki, who has now become the replacement for Loom. Loki is merely the outcome of the possibilities of air remnants. Otherwise, why would he want to give Loki such power? Air remnants want to preserve all these things like a nose, and even then he calls it MERS. That Loki is like Tony Stark, sacrificing himself. Right now, Loki feels like he has saved the multiverse, but there are still major events ahead like Doomsday and Secret Wars, and we've also seen that even with Loki, this multiversal tree can die. The separate 10 rings and bangles are directly connecting to Loki, so the beacon shot of the 10 rings makes me think this scene is about Loki and his multiversal tree, because it could be that the source of the 10 rings' power actually belongs to Loki and this multiversal timeline. As long as the multiverse exists, these rings will work, and when the multiverse ends and Dr. Doom creates Battleworld, then these rings will not work there. The one found in the Bell India Temple has a blue hand, which according to comics belongs to Kree. But could this be Loki? Because Loki's true color is blue. And yes, this Loki could be the one who died in the last multiversal war. Air remnants planted him in 616 so that the bangles could eventually reach superheroes. Also, if this Loki is kept in this timeline, no branch timeline will be created because this temple-breaking event is a cataclysmic event, and no branch timeline is formed from this Loki. Here, Loki gets crushed under the debris, and then no one pays attention to it. For now, there's still so much left regarding the rumors inside the MCU. Kang the Conqueror, Ramos, and the entire Council of Kangs are moving forward in the multiversal saga with their unfinished stories. We cannot ignore any of them either. Kang will need a confirmation from Marvel Studios video, and then there will be real chaos. So if you're watching this far, I have a small request. Please subscribe to the channel. It's very important for me. I upload only Marvel content on this channel, so as a fan, you can at least give me a little support. So please subscribe, and also set the notification bell to all. For now, see you in the next video. Until then, take care, have fun, love you, and bye.